Bloodhunt issue number 5. This is the wrap up of the story that we've been following thus far from the very beginning up until now. There's been a lot of dope stuff that's happened, a lot of dope characters introduced to myself and maybe some of you. And again, we get to see how things end. There's a few tie-ins that happen after this final chapter to kind of show where the world goes after the events of Bloodhunt. But for Bloodhunt itself, this is the issue that finishes it all. If you're interested in finding out what happens and who dies, who doesn't die, whatever it may be, let's get into it.
You're now watching The Captain.
All right, y'all, we picking up where we left off last time. Like we said last time, Doctor Strange and Clea were visiting Dr. Doom and asking for assistance, and he let them know that he'd already been planning a lot of this stuff out and has a plan to defeat Varney and save the world. But all he needs is the power of the Sorcerer Supreme. Obviously, Clea is geeking out on this, but Strange is pretty smart in realizing that, hey, Doom, it's pretty safe to say that you've been planning these events out for a while now, and you probably knew all this was going on from the beginning, and you've been devising this plan just so you could get my powers. And it seems like it's very apparent. So I don't know if Doom had any hand in creating the events of Bloodhunt. That's been kind of alluded to, or if he just knew things were happening and he just didn't care to stop them and to start building up a contingency plan to get what he needed out of the situation. Moving on from that, though, we move into the final battle. This is all hell breaking loose. No bars held, no inches given in this fight. The Avengers, fully formed Avengers now, with Falcon, Captain Marvel, Vision, Black Panther, Iron Man, Thor, and eventually the Scarlet Witch pops up and they're taking on the Blood Coven, and they're trying to take them out. It's very funny, and it goes to show how much of a connection that Wanda and Vision have, for the fact just this Vision saying her name wakes her up immediately from the trance she was in, and she like hops into action like immediately and knows what's up. I don't know if she was like faking being asleep or if she was really asleep, but I'd like to think she was really in some kind of comatose state, and just her connection with Vision woke her up and got her in action like that. As Black Panther and Bloodstorm 1 and Falcon are doing their thing, we move over into Thor now. Because as you guys remember, Thor has been pretty much incapacitated through this entire event because he is a god that, from what they made it seem like, he was able to take on Varney with the superpowered boost of being in a perfect vessel, being a blade. And that's the reason that they were draining his blood to get him more powerful. And it's also shown here that Varney has somewhat of a respect for Thor of him being an immortal. From what it seems like, Varney is only respecting people that are gods of some sort or have long lives to see an end of a world and whatnot. And then you can see it in their dialogue. But in this going on, we see that Thor is reaching for Mjolnir and saying like, hey, you're talking that shit, wait till I get my musketool and we gonna get to business. And Varney does something that's pretty stupid, I guess. Well, he says that he's not worried about Mjolnir getting there because it's in orbit and he'll kill Thor before it arrives, which kind of seems kind of off to me, because if you know this is a thing and it's something that you're worried about, why would you take so long to kill Thor off? I don't know. I felt like that in the first issue when they were bamboozling the Avengers and like kind of jumped them, that they made it a point to take people out very quickly. In this, it felt like maybe, okay, this could just be a point to where the Avengers are just stronger and they're just not as easy to take down, but it feels like there's a little bit of slow-footedness here in the fight trying to take the Avengers out, at least from everybody except Bloodstorm 1, because Bloodstorm 1 is getting to work with ripping off Vision's arm. Vision has pretty much made it essentially known that he cannot use any more of the sun abilities that he got from soaking in energy from the sun in previous issues, and that he's zapped, he's dead. So that being the case, he is really ripped to shreds by Bloodstorm 1, and it's hard for him to really give the damage that he needs to give to keep them down. Even further, Tony makes it a point to say that he needs the Montesi formula activated so we can get these vampires up out of here. Tony obviously does not give a fuck about any other vampires in this world. He just wants them all gone and wants his issue put to bed. But Wanda's being Wanda and caring about more than herself, in thinking that there are not all evil vampires in this world. So I don't want to activate this spell, this formula that is going to take out all vampires, no matter if they're evil or good. And just she's not activating the formula. So we have that out the window at this point. We're just not using that, which it's an interesting thing to see the morality complexities in the story and in Marvel in general, where you have a moment where the literal world is at risk of being destroyed, and the one ace in your hole you have, you feel like you're not going to use it just to follow your morals and your ethics, which is it's something to be said about some characters. You can call that dumb or stupidity, but I mean, it is what it is. It's how you interpret it, but it's interesting for me, at least, to say the least. Transitioning from people of good moral ethics and a good moral compass, we're moving into Dr. Doom again, into which he's pretty much letting Clea and Strange know, like, hey, I can solve this stuff, but I need your abilities to make me strong enough to do so. In doing this, Strange pretty much lets Doom know that I don't trust you, like, as he should. Like, nobody should trust Doom. And he pretty much makes it a point to say, like, hey, if I'm going to give you my abilities, I need your word and your promise that you will give me my abilities back once this whole thing's over with. Or the exact words are, once you save the world, I need you to return my abilities to me as Sorcerer Supreme, which Doom gives his word. And for a second there, I believed him. Because Doom feels like one of those villains to me that, although he'll do evil shit, he at least has his own form of moral compass, to where him lying and him keeping his word is something that he like, his word is something that he takes very seriously. Some villains have that. Some villains have that sense of pride, respect, and keeping to their word and doing those things genuinely. Although they're evil and they'll murder you, but they gonna keep their word. Doom feels like that person to me. So for at least for the moment, we believe that he's telling the truth, or maybe it's just me that believes he's telling the truth, and we move on from there into Strange delivering the abilities of the Sorcerer Supreme into Dr. Doom. And for what I know, for the first time in Marvel history, Dr. Doom is now the Sorcerer Supreme of Marvel Comics. Y'all let me know if there's another run that I'm forgetting about where this was a thing, but to my knowledge, this is the first time this has happened. We've seen other characters like Tony Stark hold the Sorcerer Supreme title and mantle, but Doom having it is a first for me. And essentially all he gets the logo on his cloak, I guess, for lack of a better term, that Strange has, and he gets the cloak of levitation and the eye of, I think it's the eye of Agamotto that's on the cloak. So Doom is just broken at this point. On top of the mystical abilities and the technological abilities he already has, now he has the powers of the greatest wizard and sorcerer on the planet Earth. Moving forward, we go back to New York and we meet with Brielle and Dracula. If you guys did not read the prior tie-ins to this, Brielle's pretty much come to the conclusion and to the decision that she does need to kill her dad, and has come to that decision without fighting back on it anymore, after kind of doing some soul searching with Varney and visions of her father and her classmates and whatnot. And that being the case, it's been made also very apparent that Spider-Man Miles Morales is just like kind of trying to get her not to do it still for whatever reason. This is another thing where like Spider-Man and Wanda have this thing to where they will hold their morals and their ethics above anything else. Like, even with lives at risk where they want to save people, they are not going to sacrifice being good people to do so. And it's just, again, it's very interesting to see that from characters in a moment like this, to where the world could possibly end. They just always feel like there is another way and a better way. But Brielle being Brielle, she sees it just as being her responsibility and something that she needs to get done. And Dracula just being her backup at this point, being like her little bodyguard. This has been very interesting to me. Like I said before, I love the dynamic duo of Dracula and Brielle, and I hope this kind of grows forward a little bit more down the line in the future of the comics, where they just get to kind of grow and she gets to learn some vampire tricks and of the trade from the king of the vampires. So we gonna see. I'm excited to see how that goes. Moving forward again, we go back to the fight where Varney is just being a badass, and I have to say, I absolutely love this version of Blade, the Varney possessed version of Blade, because he just looks cool as fuck on screen with his shadow abilities and how he's using both his katanas with the leather, and he just has aura. He just has the aura, and I'm really enjoying seeing this version fight. The only issue I have with this here, from a story perspective, is that we made it a big point earlier to discuss how Mjolnir getting to Thor was going to be like a big, I guess, playing field leveler in regards to Thor getting another level of power, and Varney being pretty certain that he could kill him before he got there. And Varney doing a typical villain thing where he's monologuing and not paying attention to what's going on around him. Mjolnir gets to Thor, and Thor just gets the cocoon that happens, and he bursts free from Varney's grasp, and things kick off. Or at least we believe they're going to kick off. As that happens, Tony figures that, well, hey, I can't have at least the good thing of having Wanda kill all the vampires with the formula. Hey, Captain Marvel, can you at least blow a hole through the clouds again like you did before? Which I guess this makes more sense now as to how she was able to do that beforehand, because she makes it a point to let him know that in this moment in time she can't blow a hole through the clouds this time because it's too thick here, which makes sense just because this is where it should be at its thickest, because Varney is here, where he's like the living embodiment of the portal to the dark force dimension. Moving forward from that, we at least finally get something that goes right for the heroes, where we get the return of Moon Knight, Mark Spector. He makes his big return to the battlefield with them, where he arrives with the armies of Khonshu and all the prior Moon Knights and lets them know that, hey, I'm here. And he just looks sick. I love the design for a lot of these versions of these heroes. They just look menacing and badass to me. And as we get back to Latveria, Doom is pretty much letting Clea and Strange know that he's been preparing for all this stuff going on, and that the magic used to create the breaches to the Dark Force dimension is the result of really old Atlantean technology, and it's a spell penned by the same hands that inked the Darkhold in the dark days of that universe, of this universe. It's powerful magic that he's trying to undo with the abilities of the Sorcerer Supreme and having the assistance of the kids from the Strange Academy. And I just love this artwork. It's vibrant, it's beautiful, it's clean, and stuff like this is the reason why I can understand why a lot of people love Doom. I personally like Doom as a character. I didn't share the same love for him that a lot of other people did, but stuff like this and showing panels like this it's very easy to see why people absolutely love Dr. Doom. But we've pretty much learned that Doom through Latveria has acquired a lot of those old relics that he mentioned earlier from the old days of Atlantis, and is using those and the abilities of the Strange Academy students to kind of weave a force of magic so strong where he can undo that magic that Varney had cast that brought forth the breaches to the Darkhold dimension. But before he can do that, he needs a lot of distractions. I guess he just can't overpower Varney outright without having something to distract him and break his concentration. So the fight continues on. Moon Knight is pretty much making his presence felt, and Vision's trying his best to keep up with the fight against Bloodstorm 1. But it's been made very apparent through Bloodstorm 1 that this fight could have been over a long time ago if the Avengers didn't have any kind of moral compass or code of ethics to live by. If they just said, hey, fuck all vampires, we'll kill them all just to solve the problem, why not use the Montestat formula, things would have been done over a long time ago. And a lot of characters would have been dead at that point in time. Moving forward into the story again some more, we're learning that there's not really much that the Avengers are doing to make a scratch on Varney at this point in time, and which is kind of again, it's another thing with me with Thor, where they keep making it seem like Thor is going to stand a lot more of a chance than he did previously, especially after getting Mjolnir. But it's been made pretty apparent in this moment in time right now that like he's not really adding nothing to the fight. He's still getting washed by Varney regardless of how strong he is, which again, it's cool. I'm cool with that happening, but like you can't just keep gassing up Thor's level of strength just for him to get washed right after. But it kind of just makes me look at him kind of lesser than. But it's been made pretty seen and pretty apparent in this dope ass panel. Again, I love the way that the artist and the colorist did Blade, or at least Varney possessed Blade in this moment in time. But in this dope ass panel where he just looks like a straight demon, he's letting everybody know that the only thing that can harm me, that I was even worried about, was Brielle, the bloodline of Blade. She's the only thing that can kill him. So it's this unofficial rule that's being told and being made that only one of the bloodline of Varney or Blade can kill them for whatever reason. And she floops in and she stabs him directly into the chest on some badass shit. But apparently it's also made known that it can't just be the bloodline of Blade. Like, Blade can get killed because he's of her bloodline, but Varney is one of his bloodline, needs to be there to assist in the murder, and that cues up Miles Morales to come in and assist her with pushing the blade through and killing Varney, because since Varney bit him and turned him into a vampire, he's technically part of his bloodline, and that's how that happens. And that gives Doom all the distraction he needs in order to reverse the breaches and send all that dark force energy, what it seems like, directly back into Varney. And Wanda then takes that opportunity to extract Varney's spirit from Blade himself and then like imprison him into some kind of like crystal prison. So obviously Blade is like bleeding out because he got stabbed in the chest. They're working on healing him, so it seems like he's gonna make it through. And with Varney being in prison, Blade being free, and the dark force being reversed back into him, or at least breached to where it's thinning out, the sun is coming through, and there is a brighter day and a brighter tomorrow. There's still a lot of other dark spots in the world apparently where vampires may be running rampant, but that's going to be part of the cleanup they're going to have after this event, and a lot of the tie-ins we're going to be seeing after this with the Fantastic Four and et cetera, et cetera. All in all, this has been dope, and I absolutely have adored the story thus far. Is it a perfect story? No, but it does leave some things to be desired in the end in regards to Brielle's impact was kind of hyped up, and I feel like this should have been a little bit longer of a story to showcase how much she actually mattered to it. It felt like this story was like a setup for a lot of these characters in regards to their solo stuff, and it didn't feel like as much of like an Omega level threat as I thought it would be, just because it felt kind of fast. It felt like for a minute it was taking forever for these issues to come out, but by the end it felt kind of rushed to me in how they closed the story out. I thought this book could have been easily like maybe like 30 pages of an issue, or maybe stretches out into 2 more issues just to kind of, you know, give things the proper timing and pages they need to finish these fights out right. I just think there's a little bit more they could have done as far as the length of this story, but I digress. But before we get ready to close the story out and wrap up this video, there's one more thing that happens at the end of the story that I find very interesting. But we return back to Latveria to see Strange kind of letting Doom know like, hey, thanks for the help, man. You did a lot to save the world, but now it's time for you to keep your oath that you promised me and return my abilities because you saved the world now, like it's over with. Doom is letting him know like, of course, I'll keep my oath after I save the world like I said I would. And Doom does nothing halfway. So there's some other shit Doom has planned, and again, he's been planning a lot of this stuff for a while now, apparently. And he plans on keeping the abilities of the Sorcerer Supreme for a while. We are going to figure out very soon what Doom has going on there. At the end of this issue, it's told to us that Doom in November has a lot of stuff going on. It's probably going to have a big event or a solo series coming in November, which I find very coincidental that we got the announcement of RDJ Doom, and then we get a Doctor Strange Supreme powered up Doom in the comics coming in November. It seems like a little happy coincidence. I don't know if they're coordinating a lot of these releases and information with the comics versus the movie people, but I would not be surprised if they did, because this is very coincidental for this to happen at this moment in time. The last little tidbit we get before the story closes out is that Dracula and Miles had this little dialogue back and forth where Miles is just like happy to see the sun and happy for things to be back to normal again. But then he realizes, oh, I'm still a vampire. I could probably die right now from the sun. But for whatever reason, he's not burning up at all, and Dracula's not burning up. And we understand why Dracula was doing all this to help, and why he was so invested in making sure Varnir was defeated and helping out with this. Because somehow in him doing this, it led to him and all other vampires to become daywalkers, essentially, where they can all have an immunity to the sun. So Miles, I guess for the foreseeable future, is going to have a vampire power boost on top of his spider powers already. So that's gonna be sick to see, and just really dope to see how this goes forward for all the other vampires and how Dracula goes about using this new bit of found ability to see the sun and operate in daytime now to get things done. But on the final page, we get to this panel of Doom casting out a transmission to the entire world, letting the entire world know that the world is safe now, and it's all safe due to the Earth's new Sorcerer Supreme, Dr. Doom. And he's kind of doing this thing to where, hey, I'm here, I have the powers, I'm the new Sorcerer Supreme, you guys have me to thank, get on your knees, kiss my boot, kiss the ring. So again, I'm really interested to see how this new run goes. I may actually pick this run up in November to see what Doom does, and if you guys want me to cover this, let me know in the comments below. But I'd be down to take a look and take a gander at this, because again, I haven't been a huge Doom guy over the years. There's some stories that I absolutely adore that he's in, and I respect him as one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Marvel villain there is. But y'all let me know if y'all want to see me cover that run. I don't know what the name of it's going to be yet. I don't think they've announced it yet, but yeah, Doom as a Sorcerer Supreme is going to be a problem for a lot of people. So I'm excited to see how that works and what comes with that. All in all, this has been a dope series and a dope run of comics that I've been excited to get into. Like I said before, I haven't been collecting or even avidly reading comics super close up like this for a while now, where I'm following every tie-in, every issue, every week or every other week when these things are dropping. I'm buying like all 5 tie-ins that drop that day, and I'm reading everything. I probably read over the course of this entire run and read and bought like maybe like, it feels like 60 to 70 comics is what it feels like in this big tin I have in the back, or this big box I have in the back of my room in my office space. But again, let me know if you guys enjoyed Marvel's Bloodhunt. Let me know if you want to see me do a bigger discussion or even talk to more people about this run and its conclusion. Or even if you want me to cover this new Doom run that's going to happen in November. Let me know all that stuff below. What were your thoughts? Did you enjoy my commentary? Did you think it was ass? Just let me know any feedback, any constructive criticism is good in the comments. Again, this has been Captain Diesel, Captain Diesel's Dojo, covering Marvel's Bloodhunt, and we'll see you guys next time. Peace.